that you've held, how did you shape this so it really makes it easy for me to kind of look at this option as something I could do for myself?
Yeah, it's a good question. I often say to people that corporate is gives you two key opportunities as an individual. One, it rewards you with the opportunity to earn an income. So when you work in a corporate, you earn the income, but that's really the short-term opportunity. The long-term hidden opportunity is that it gives you context and an opportunity to build a career and to understand an industry and to understand where the gaps are in the industry and where the challenges that are unmet, either by your corporate or by other industry players. And that vantage point for me was so critical because it gave me the opportunity to see where I could position a business that could move the industry forward. And so without the benefit of a corporate career, I think it would have been very difficult for me to understand the ins and outs of the technology, the commercial opportunity, the product itself, and where the challenges were, both in terms of how banks were struggling to get to customers quicker and how customers were unable to get banks to understand where they are at that point in time. And so that played a key role, I must say, and I just so happened to have a good relationship with the bank that I worked for and all the other banks out there that are represented in our platform as lenders.
It is 22 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. We are reinventing home loans with the mortgage market, and we're currently in conversation with Tim Akenusi, the CEO and the co-founder. We'll continue the conversation right after this.
Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter?
Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard?
Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126.
And we will call you back.
So you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So that's who I am,
It's not just talk. It's your chance to air your views.
Share your opinion.
Engage with a community that values your perspective.
Follow us on our social media.
Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za
and get ready to share your views
on Channel Africa,
the African perspective.
The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
23 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get back into our conversation with Tim Akenusi, the CEO and co-founder of Mortgage Market. They are reimagining home loans, making it a bit more accessible. Tim, let's talk about the technology that's driving behind this, the money market, or not the money market, I apologize, the mortgage market. Tell us about the technology, because you said that traditional banks struggle to access customers and customers struggle to see multiple bank offers and where they get approved. Talk to us about the technology that's driving the mortgage market on your platform.
Yeah, so, to explain the technology, I'll have to explain the business model. So the business model that we have today is a mortgage origination business model, right? That's the crux of what our service is, the ability for customers to multi-submit applications using a single application form. So what we did was that origination has been around for probably the better part of 20 to 25 years. And it used to be it is today, a very broker-led model where you need a broker to effectively take application information from you regarding your income, so your pay slip, bank statements, information about the property that you want to buy, and they will go away and effectively go to the banks and try to get you home loan quotes. So we took that model and effectively put that on a digital platform where we created the opportunity for customers to upload this very same information by themselves. And then we built the platform in a way that it could integrate into all of the banks, which meant that the banks could then pass on live data to us about a customer's credit assessment that they would have done on their application. And so we unpack that information through to customers on their online dashboard in a way that they can understand it, compare apples to apples, and be able to make a decision to accept an offer or appeal an offer. And so that piece of technology was proprietary to us. I designed it, I'm the architect behind it, and our technology teams then built that and integrated that with the banks. So essentially, the banks pay us a fee, and we pay a portion of our fee to customers that use our platform in the form of an amount of 5,000 cash back. And we do that for them self-serving on our platform in a way that they are taking control over their home buying experience. And so instead of the broker benefiting from what the banks will pay, we essentially pay a portion of that back to customers for self-serving. And that's really how the platform works. Alongside that, by the way, is we give customers the opportunity within 2 minutes to understand what their income and credit profile is, for them to be able to shop for a house with confidence. And we do that with a partner called Experian, who are a credit bureau, and they use the same credit information that the banks will use to assess your application. So effectively, somebody can go online and in 2 minutes understand exactly what a bank is likely to give them with a 98% confidence level. And then they can shop for the house that they want and then apply for the home loan to purchase that house. And so those two key pieces of technology are what has enabled us to transform the industry and open it up to as many people as possible to get access to making their dreams come true when it comes to buying their dream home.
Man, talk about like a squeaky clean disruptor. Like, I mean, you've literally thought of everything. This is just so impressive. And you clearly have made some very key decisions and were very deliberate about, partnerships and collaborations. I hear some of the partnerships that you mentioned. As I understand it, you've also partnered with MTN and Easy Equities. Talk to us about those particular collaborations and how they work in the specific model and practice.
Yeah, those are very exciting partnerships, and we're very grateful to be able to work with some really big and important brands in the country. So essentially, as a startup, one of your biggest challenges is your cost of acquisition, which is the marketing money that you spend to try to create awareness and acquire customers. So billboards, TV, radio, etc. That could be very expensive. But we took a model that suggested that instead of spend that money up front, we'd rather partner up with corporates that have access to customers that are economically active. And so we were able to white label our entire technology and put it into the ecosystem of Easy Equities, which we call that venture Easy Mortgages. And with MTN, that's called Simple Mortgages. So it's in their ecosystem where their customers can benefit from the convenience of not leaving the MTN ecosystem or the Easy Mortgages ecosystem and be able to apply for that same home loan through that. And our teams on the back end will then support the customers with customer service and, of course, making sure that they get the best deal for their home loans. So the partnership idea was about distribution and scaling. And that's the one thing that we have done quite nicely. That's a novel way of growing our business. We are due a few more launches with a few more key partners. So really excited about that. And in that way, we've effectively enabled MTN and Easy Equities to, in their own right, benefit from the origination income, as well as serve their clients in a way that gives them more products and more relevance in terms of their own various ecosystems.
It is 30 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. We're currently in conversation with Tim Akenusi, CEO and co-founder of Mortgage Market. And I tell you what, Tim, what a brilliant way it is that you're running the business in terms of introducing and incorporating collaborations. It's one thing that we often overlook when we're starting businesses, especially small business owners. We don't want to partner up with anyone. We want to do everything ourselves. But I love the fact that through your experiences and your relationships, you've established amazing collaborations to ensure that this platform thrives. We'll continue the conversation with Tim after we get the sports and business news. For now, let's get the latest in sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
And in our sports update this hour, we begin with boxing news. Alexander Usyk has been ordered by the WBO to face New Zealander Joseph Parker in a mandatory heavyweight title defense. The Ukrainian was crowned undisputed world heavyweight champion after beating Daniel Dubois in a fifth-round stoppage at Wembley Stadium. The victory, sealed when he left the Brighton on the canvas with a left-handed punch, secured a 24th professional win for the undefeated 38-year-old who won back his IBF belts and added it to WBA, WBC and WBO titles. Now on to football news. Bafana head coach Willie Fintseki has expressed satisfaction with the strides made by his team as preparations continue for the upcoming African Nations Championship CHAN, set to take place from the 2nd to the 30th of August across Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda. Bafana attacker Keegan Goldie, capped 15 times at senior international level, says the training match against COSAFA Cup champions Angola gave them an idea of what to expect at the CHAN tournament.
It was a good outing for us. It was our first actual friendly game. Also against a good opponent, that's been playing together. You could see they understand the formation, they understand each other. But I think it was very good for us to test ourselves and see where we are as a national team, as individuals as well.
And on to aquatics. French swimmer Leon Machard smashed the 200-meter individual medley world record in Singapore on Wednesday with another breathtaking swim, while Australia and the United States celebrated more gold. Racing in the semi-finals at the World Championships, the 23-year-old Frenchman wiped more than a second off the previous record of 1 minute 54.00 seconds set by Ryan Lochte in 2011. Machard beat Michael Phelps' long-standing 400-meter medley record at the World Championships in Japan 2 years ago. Machard took an extended break from swimming after Paris and only returned to competition in May. As we wrap up, Ferrari announced a multi-year contract extension with Formula One team boss Fred Vasseur on Thursday, ending immediate speculation about the Frenchman's future at the helm. Vasseur has been in the post since the beginning of 2023 and was key to persuading 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton to join them from Mercedes this season. His tenure was questioned earlier in the year, with reports suggesting Ferrari had sounded out Christian Horner, the Briton who was sacked by Red Bull this month and has yet to comment on what he will do next. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Figile Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. The Upside, taking the African perspective to fresh levels.
It's 34 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's hand over the mic now to the man with the golden voice, Thabiso Lehuko, standing by with business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks to Tebogo and good afternoon. ArcelorMittal South Africa has continued to post losses despite receiving over $55 million of Industrial Development Corporation funding support to help neutralize the Long's business operational losses. It says that this funding was applied in a highly responsible, transparent and well-considered manner in support of maintaining productive capacity, supply chain vitality and jobs. The company has indicated that key structural impediments remain largely unresolved. These include insufficient import protection. The company says in the absence of a sustainable solution, the Long's business final wind down target is the 30th of September 2025. Kobus Verster, ArcelorMittal Chief Executive Officer.
The company posted an EBITDA loss before exceptional items of 394 million rand and a headline loss of 1 billion rand, mainly as a result of the extremely weak trading environment locally and a prolonged negative steel cycle.
The Nelson Mandela Bay Business Chamber in South Africa's Eastern Cape province says that there will be crisis should the US impose 30% tariffs on South African vehicle exports. The country is among more than 180 countries in the final negotiations with the US ahead of the 1st of August deadline. Chief Executive Officer Denise van Houston says they're in distress.
One needs to understand that the automotive domestic market hasn't really grown. Pre-COVID levels, it stood at around 615,000 vehicles. Last year, 515,000. So the market's not growing.
Tunisia's central bank says it has kept its benchmark interest rate unchanged at 7.5% after cutting it in March for the first time in 5 years. Tunisia's inflation rate stood to 5.4% in June, its lowest level in 5 years. The government projects inflation will average 6.2% this year, down from 7% in 2024. Tunisia's trade deficit widened to $3.46 billion in the first half of 2025, up from $2.79 billion a year earlier, contributing to a deeper current account deficit, which reached 1.9% of GDP from 1.2% of GDP a year earlier. Ghana's central bank slashed its benchmark interest rate by 300 basis points to 25%, the largest cut in its history as inflation slows a record pace in the gold, oil and cocoa-producing economy. The Bank of Ghana said the move reflects a growing confidence in the disinflation trend, which has seen consumer prices fall faster than ever before. It was the bank's first cut since September 2024, when it slashed the rate by 200 basis points, mirroring major advanced economies that began their easing cycles. London main stock indexes rose, boosted by positive corporate updates from heavyweights such as Rolls-Royce, while investors assess the blitz of tariff announcements. The internationally oriented FTSE 100 gained 0.2% and was on track to log a monthly gain, boosted by hopes of a Bank of England rate cut and optimism over the UK-US trade deal. The domestically focused mid-cap FTSE 250 index rose 0.9%. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 530, Botswana 13 pula 32, Kenya 128 shilling 53, and Zambia 22 kwacha 95. The BRICS countries in Brazil, the dollar will cost you 5 real 58. Russia 81 rubles at 25, India 87 rupees 43, China 7 yuan 18, and in South Africa the dollar will cost you 17 rand 91 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 87 to the euro. Gold is trading at $3,299 and platinum at $1,300 per ounce. Brent crude oil is at $72.86 a barrel. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business in Johannesburg, I'm Tebisolo Hoko.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Africa in business on
on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The US is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do so, and therefore it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies' meetings or discussions during our presidency and then to take over the presidency next year. From a finance track perspective, there has been engagement. We've been working on a communique last week and this week here in Zimbabwe. What's important about that is that it's a consensus document, and so all the members in the room have to agree to the language that is used there, and our US colleagues have been part of those discussions and negotiations.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It is 40 minutes. Oh, my bad. There we go. That's much better. It is 40 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. We continue spotlighting a fintech innovator changing the way South Africans buy homes. The platform is called Mortgage Market, and we're currently in conversation with Tim Akinusi, who is the CEO and co-founder of Mortgage Market. Tim, quick question. Do you have an app? Is there an app in the works? Is that the way forward for this kind of a platform?
Yeah, it's a good question. Folks have often asked us about why we chose the route to be web-based versus an app. And the simple answer to that is that people don't buy homes every day, and it's typically a transaction you perform, once every 5 to 7 years. So with all the clutter of apps that we have out there, to simply download an app on a transaction that you're going to do very infrequently, we didn't think it was necessary for us to build an app. However, what we did do was something even better, which is make a web-based platform where anyone doesn't have to download an app. They can simply go onto the internet, go onto mortgagemarket.co.za and create the profile, start uploading their documents, run their pre-approval within 2 minutes. And once they're done, all the information is stored in a secure manner in the cloud, and they can revisit it at any point in time in the future. So yeah, that's why we chose not to go the app route and just simply give people access to it on the internet.
I'm very impressed by the fact that you have very quickly become South Africa's third largest independent home loan originator. And you've only been in existence for 5 years. What do you think was key to getting you there so quickly?
I want to say people have asked me about what makes us different. And it's not just about the technology that we have, which we know is proprietary and innovative. It's not the fact that I come from that space and I understand the opportunities and I have networks within the banking space. But it's a combination of our people, having well-trained service agents, well-trained marketing staff, well-trained technology staff, a good brand, the market being what it is, where there's a big problem to be solved, and we are able to meet that need. And so both our technology, both our brand, both the people that we have, and a market that is ready for a product that we have has been key to our success. And of course, there's a lot more to that. There's investors that have supported us through this journey because we launched our business in COVID. So literally 2 months into COVID, the nation was shut down, and we had gone initially the route of billboards, etc., which meant nothing because we were all indoors at that stage, and we had to make some adjustments. And so we've been very, very fortunate that we've had good investors, a good product that is in a market that is, needing it, and that's why we've been successful. So yeah.
Tim, talk to us about how the platform is specifically helping those who have been excluded in the market. I mean, amazing that you are able to just submit one application and it will go through a couple of financial institutions, and then you're able to compare. But for those who have been previously excluded from the market, how is this helping them?
You know, that's been one of the biggest residual values that we've seen as our business has unfolded, is that what's happening in the industry is that banks are effectively call it shutting down their branches and taking away the skill of home loan out of their branches. So that means that folks in smaller towns or remote areas won't have access to the best type of credit to be able to purchase their house. And so our platform is now in a position where we can have access to the entire market because we are online based.
Yeah.
And so folks who are buying houses that are less than R1 million or houses in remote areas can now make an application regardless of whether or not they have a bank that operates in their town. They can still get access to that bank to fund and support their house purchase need. So that is one of the key ways in which we are being inclusive in our a market when typically these folks will be excluded from getting the best access to the funding for their property purchase.
Okay, so I mean, you've given us an entire overview. You've literally shared everything with us, including the challenges, and you've been very generous with that information. So I'm listening now, and I'm very interested in giving this a try. Who is the target audience? Because I may be listening and may be afraid that I may not be successful because, you know, before a person goes in to buy a house, they've already come up with all sorts of things in their minds about, you know, their worthiness of going in and doing this thing. And I think particularly for first-time home owners. So who is the target market exactly?
I think you've just articulated the state of play very nicely. One is that people are often not aware that they can actually afford to buy a place, right? So there's a lot of people out there today that are currently renting the place that they are living in. And yet, by just having the knowledge of your income and your expenses and your relationship with credit in the past, by having that at the fingertips, you can make a different decision to say, I can actually buy this place that I'm currently renting because I can afford it. So that's why we created the 2-minute pre-approval tool that is free. It doesn't impact your credit score, and it gives you the full breakdown of what you can afford and what the banks are likely to give you as a home loan and what costs associated with that as well. And the ranges of whether or not it's prime minus 50 basis points or prime plus, it gives you those ranges of what your repayments will be. And then with that information, you become a lot more confident about going onto a property portal or visiting a property developer or an estate agent who will then take the time to show you options about the types of homes that you could potentially buy. So giving you that confidence is the first step, right? That knowledge of knowing that you can buy a property for a similar amount to what you're renting for could be a game changer in your life. And so we target first-time home buyers as our primary base. And then, of course, we also look to target investors and second-time home buyers who are looking for a much better experience and a much more simplified experience because essentially they've been through the journey before and now they can undertake a process to get their next house on their own. So whilst we have a preference, we are not exclusive in terms of or exclusionary in terms of the people that could potentially use our platform to get their next purchase.
Oh, I love that. And the fact that property investors can also use the platform to weigh what will be good for their portfolio, expanding their portfolio, growing it. And what I also love, Tim, is the fact that on your website, on the platform, you've got blogs as well, educating people on how to take care of their credit score, how it affects their home buying and their affordability, and so on and so forth, which is absolutely brilliant. Talk to us about any new features and partnerships going into the future for mortgage market.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad you mentioned that because in my history in home loans, right, what we've understood is that a well-informed customer, right, is a customer that's likely to understand how to navigate the next 15 to 20 years of repayments of bonds. Because as we all know, life happens. We go through financial upswings and downswings, and you need to know what the implications are and how to navigate those as you're repaying your property back. So we invest a lot in buyer education and exposing customers to what to expect in the home ownership journey. And to that end, what we've done is that we've added new features to our business where we effectively, if customers don't have the funding to be able to pay for the attorney cost, or if there's a shortfall on a deposit, we can actually give them that money and get into a loan relationship with them, and they can pay us back over a more flexible period of time at very good rates that are far better than a personal loan rate. And so with that in mind, if you feel like you're not in a position to afford the attorney cost to cover your property, we can help you with that cost, and you can pay us back over a period of time. We are an NCR registered business, and so we have the ability to lend to you alongside the banks as well. That's going to be a really big feature that we're looking to scale up. It's already been quite successful in helping a lot of customers who had given up on the process because they didn't have the cost. Now they're in a position to get those costs to be able to acquire the property and not abandon the process.
It is 51 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Tim, thank you so much for your time. We'll certainly be paying attention to mortgagemarket.co.za. And who knows, we'll be able to buy our property there and get that 5,000 Rand cash back, which I personally love. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, Tim. Tim there from Mortgage Market. He is the CEO and the co-founder, and they are reinventing home loans, ensuring inclusivity, which is absolutely fantastic. Let's take a quick breather. When we get back, some music, and then we tell you what's coming up in the next hour.
9 to 12 midday Central African time. On the move with Palisa Tau and Benjamin Mushata.
Should influencers be expected to be impactful in society? If there is a social or societal conversation that goes up, should we be waiting eagerly to hear what the influencers have to say?
They are more than just entertainers. They are thought leaders to some certain degree. They influence culture. They influence people's thought processes. They set trends. They shape opinions of people. And the sad reality is, although a lot of them don't want to accept it, I think we're getting better with them realizing that they're embarking in that journey, and in that space comes with a certain level of responsibility.
I see it differently in that, professionals are already good at their job, but there is an optionality that they might have to use the position that they hold in society to be able to deliver a message. This year you made the example of actors and actresses. So the same could apply to a sportsman. Just because someone's good at soccer doesn't mean that they have to have an influence over society from a specific standpoint.
Keeping you on the know and on the move. We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
Any money where I get, I dey flex, I dey ball, I dey vest, I dey shop, Patek, she see fly ball in the jet. My baby, my pet, she na pussycat. See back, see the yansh, free pass, maybe that. She go wine and well when she see the cash. Cash, 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 go, cash, cash. She go wine and well when she see the cash.
hush pump, she go see the touch. If I hide the money, she go see the cash. Bend down well when you see the cash. Cash, 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 cash. Bend down well when you see the cash. I dey flex it.
African perspective to fresh levels.
Yeah, I didn't know what it is, right? Ma's on this.
Shilatino kupesa na sungana kuficha lileti tumfo kwa posa mune weke shapo. Wow. Tekanye shilatino kuninga pati bene bari fiat kukura poapo. Wow. Shimeko kukuwa kwa mumulu. Wow. Na tinkanya kakuru. Wow. Fwa masha yama mukuru so bari fiat.
Zinabeku veke alidensa la shop shop na mpera chicken potanga. Wow. Friends of us ama badis bari yerela taoke ala kupanga. Wow. Ati aume na yu mulibanga. Wow. Yes you me then na manzanga. Wow. Chidunku fena isabalange fubamba ma.
Nabamadekano semechalilo extra mupapu shefe chalila alembwena mwapo patito mushalila banga bambona fefe balila yabana yabachukulilei kulila nkoli kulilai tende chalo chalila tibashemu
Engira fetikagos na papa bampere vya kunanje shirwa boss Vivyongolo vya papa vya lila vyebele zota munu efirifyons Ala nebo chanwa poromos Etshinkanga muipushe wons Ero bandole sa wonse ba papa balila
Enadi mpatapata kabyongo kagwe kadifwa puteni zero Sina the other day muchikulu akadikeka jelemi bio Patina for tonight Pante po what you like Twende paka mubu mfisolo shilai
Nene babalila kabunga na kadula mkwanisha shani Kule bombesho kupiba elo kusai sanga no mamu mazali Ono makule samba mumukaka Shush no manish wa mkaka Yako wapiti na chakule ntaka Somali fies
19 pendef kondo na liku Singapore na wedele fe mangwengwe Batsiranda potsungu na bebera teti chai wants to wee Hey mini na kufopre do Once kame page do Mana kwa tikia pe uliko let me hear some
Nchikala bonzi na papa na bukele la koko chipesi sanku moneko Nifuruka weka tena kuchaningo Fika na kuchibinde kumakoloko Lelo ndai kwando Wala ngesa iboko Wale mfoko walila Abu bari fiat
Bana mwana na twende babiri lelo ture ya tuangalile kusanzipa Wacha nkwete konse nkwete lelo nolotorana na kusanzika Afkapo tule ya kutubai Bana mwamba bebe ko kutubai Yekuranga linebo kutukai Bebele
Bingamo ingubo ningadia moshonsa Papa bantu balati Ninsamba Pamaluku na isi popopo gelo quality Sasashila yelo na kaki Emuda material ni satin Sabika poswaini chisote kumanwa.
What a wow. Wow is the name of the song featuring Chef 187. That's Amadei Ruch and Chandana K. Giving you that banger. And before that, we had Patek, or Patek, if you pronounce the K properly there, by Chop Life Sound System, Mr. Easy, DJ Tariko, and Joey B. Bringing us to 2 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Top stories. Asaba concerns South Africa's city of Johannesburg is not ready to host the G20 summit, and Myanmar declares an end to a state of emergency. Good afternoon. I'm Cholani Tulongwepe. The Democratic Alliance Party in South Africa's Gauteng province says the city of Johannesburg is unlikely to be ready for the much-anticipated G20 summit. With just 3 months left before South Africa plays host to global leaders, the DA says service delivery failures have still not been addressed. The party's Gauteng chairperson, Solim Simanga, questioned the effectiveness of the work of the Presidential Working Group and Bomb Squad initiatives set up to give the city a facelift ahead of the G20 summit in November.
As councillors, they're sitting here, they don't even know, who are members of the so-called Bomb Squad. There is no terms of reference. There is no allocation of funding. If there is any, we don't know who's responsible for what. And yet we are going to be, in a couple of months' time, be hosting one of the biggest event. And you can see for yourself what Johannesburg look like. Street lights are still a mess. Potholes everywhere. We still have streets that are littered. We still have, streets that have water, fresh water and sewer that is flowing.
Research conducted by South Africa's University of the Witwatersrand has confirmed that the April 2022 floods in the KwaZulu-Natal province were worsened by climate change. The floods claimed the lives of 544 people and displaced tens of thousands. It's the first time that the floods are scientifically attributed to climate change. The research outlines how the increase in the average global temperature impacts South Africa's eastern coast, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Eastern Cape, and makes these parts of the country more disaster-prone. Director of the Global Change Institute at the university, Professor Francois Engelbrecht.
This research is telling us that climate change is changing flood risks along the South African east coast. And there are broadly two things that we can do about this in South Africa. We need to become much better in South Africa in terms of evacuating people out of the path of harm. We need to learn how to evacuate several thousands of people, maybe 10,000 people, within 1 or 2 days, out of the path of an approaching storm and flood event. We need to do this on the short term because we are not at any time soon going to solve our housing crisis.
An M23 rebel attack on farmers and other civilians in East Democratic Republic of Congo killed 169 people earlier this month. This is according to a UN body in what would have been one of the deadliest incidents since the group's resurgence. Findings by the UN Joint Human Rights, which monitors Congo, show that M23 operations that led to the farmers' killings began on the 9th of July in the Rutsuru territory of North Kivu province. However, M23 leader Berand Bisimwa says it would investigate, adding that the report could be a smear campaign. The M23 and Congolese government have pledged to work towards peace by the 18th of August after the rebels this year seized more territory than ever before in fighting that has killed thousands and displaced hundreds of thousands more. South Africa's Limpopo Department of Environment and Tourism is warning residents of a herd of over 50 elephants roaming areas along the border with Zimbabwe. The department spokesperson, Zaid Kala, says this is due to annual migration by elephants from Botswana, Zimbabwe, and sometimes the Kruger National Park. He says this herd crossed over from Zimbabwe. Affected areas include Pondrift, Musina, and Masisi, amongst others. Kala says rangers are monitoring the elephants and redirecting them from populated areas. Myanmar's military government has declared an end to state of emergency put in place 4.5 years ago when it ousted Aung San Suu Kyi's elected government. The BBC's Jonathan Head reports.
So they've renewed this state of emergency every 6 months. It's been renewed 8 times. The reason they've not renewed it this time, the last one's just expired, is because under the Constitution you can't hold an election if a state of emergency is in place. That means all this talk of an election at the end of the year is serious. The military wants to hold an election, possibly December, possibly January, despite the fact that it doesn't control a lot of the country. There's armed insurgency and a great deal of it, that a large part of the population is unlikely to take part.
Recapping the top story this hour, the Democratic Alliance Party in South Africa's Gauteng province says the city of Johannesburg is unlikely to be ready for the much-anticipated G20 summit. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Webe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
6 minutes into 2 p.m. Welcome to the golden hour of The Upside. A pleasure to have you join us this afternoon because the conversations are LIT lit.
LIT lit.
LIT lit.
Oh, I thought you were saying a lighty. I was like, which Afrikaans family are you talking about now? All right, LIT lit.
They are LIT lit. Let me tell you something. There is something so amazing about the gaming space in general. But if we were to look at Africa's gaming industry, it's not just growing, it's actually exploding with possibility, believe it or not. There are all kinds of wonderful things that are happening as you and I speak, and we're going to be exploring those as we look at building a thriving African gaming ecosystem. That is the conversation for this hour. So if you thought this is not for you, I think by the end of the conversation you will be so fascinated that you might even just I don't know, you might want to get in the game, you might want to get in the game, literally.
And stay tuned, because now you have a reason to tell your parents why you've been spending hours playing that game at home. Because maybe one day you're going to be a game developer and bring all the money back home.
But isn't it interesting that all those years back, like careers like gaming developer were not even in existence?
They were not.
Yeah, and now we've got wonderful gentlemen like the Nigerian gaming enthusiast by the name of David Olamide, who now talks about incorporating this into the university system. I mean, the world is changing so rapidly, but it's also very exciting to see.
I love that. And we'll be having that conversation coming up next. If you have been thinking about game developing, just wanted to know the ins and outs and tapping into this untapped market on the African continent, send us a WhatsApp +2763 406 9126, or alternatively stream us on our social media platforms at Channel Africa 1 on X and on TikTok, and at Channel Africa on Facebook. All right, and then later on we've got What Caught Your Eye. Quite a few things to talk about today. The Vodacom situation, the police called me, there was a ruling there. We'll share a bit more about that, and then I'll tell you the harrowing story that I woke up to this morning. Bone-chilling screams, as I'm going to leave it again there. But for now, let me also tell you that on Sundays you can catch World Champions on SABC2. Follow their journey back in 2019 because SABC Sport brings you Chasing the Sun, a powerful 5-part documentary series about the Springboks, telling the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory in 2019. Starting July 13 at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time on SABC2, tune in every Sunday for the highs, the heartache and the heroics that made rugby history. Stream each chapter on SABC Plus anytime, anywhere. No subscription needed. Don't miss Chasing the Sun this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time on SABC2. Be there when history shines.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Your afternoons just got even better, fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
Au début c'était tout nouveau, tout beau, avec elle j'étais au 7e ciel. Par la suite je faisais plein de mauvais rêves où elle me disait que c'était fini entre nous, ça me donnait des raisons valables. Mais tu sais c'est quoi le pire? C'est que ces rêves étaient devenus réalité.
Après tant d'années, quand je l'ai revu, mon cœur a fait boum boum. Je me suis posé un tas de questions qui m'ont mené à la conclusion que dans le fond je ne l'ai jamais oublié. Mes sentiments j'aimerais bien les bafouer, mais y a des choses que je suis obligé d'avouer, comme le fait que tu ne seras jamais à moi. Aujourd'hui tu es là mais demain tu seras dans un avion. Tu dis que tu m'aimes mais tu t'endors dans les bras d'un autre. Ainsi va la vie. Dis-moi à quel moment je devrais croire que t'es pas comme les autres. Baby tell me. Je te pose des questions dont j'ai les réponses, mais je veux voir si tu vas me mytho. Et tu n'as fait que me mentir. Pendant que les soirs tu dors dans sa maison, moi je suis dans une bataille entre le cœur et la raison. Pendant que les soirs tu dors dans sa maison, moi je suis dans une bataille entre le cœur et la raison. Et j'entends mon cœur crier oh. Est-ce que ça c'est le destin? Et j'entends la raison qui me dit laisse tomber, car c'est déjà la femme d'elle. J'entends la raison qui me dit laisse tomber, car c'est déjà la femme d'un autre.
Entre nous c'était si spécial, et ça frôlait l'illégal. On était bon mais c'était pas assez bon. Il était déjà dans les parages. J'ai dû faire un choix entre mon cœur et ma raison. Je vois bien que tu m'en veux, mais je suis déjà dans sa maison. Bébé, dis-moi que tu m'aimes. Avec lui ce n'est pas la même. J'ai troqué notre amour pour une traîne. On est passé de l'amour à la haine. Je te bats partout, partout. T'étais mon tout, 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 tout. Mon bébé, dis-moi que tu m'aimes. Dans tes yeux je vois tellement de haine. Pendant que les soirs je dors dans sa maison, je suis dans une bataille entre le cœur et la raison.
Pendant que les soirs tu dors dans sa maison, moi je suis dans une bataille entre le cœur et la raison. Et j'entends mon cœur crier oh. Est-ce que ça c'est le destin? Et j'entends la raison qui me dit laisse tomber, car c'est déjà la femme d'elle. J'entends la raison qui me dit laisse tomber, car c'est déjà la femme d'elle. Baby Jouka, baby Jouka, là je suis touché oh. Je ne peux pas oublier.
It is 14 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Mr. King and Emma A. The song's name there is Show and raison.
I love it for you.
Show and raison. We need the people from Gabon to send us a WhatsApp right now and help us pronounce COEUR and raison.
Tell you what.
I've got raison.
Okay.
+27634069126 is the WhatsApp line. Please help us.
Tell you what, you know, you're onto something there.
With?
You could start your own gaming program with your own language.
That would be a
at that rate.
Game.
You can start
Actually, for kids, introducing them to new languages at a very young age when their brains are sponges and able to take on so much information. That's a brilliant idea, actually.
Yeah. So you're onto something with your 15 minutes past 2 p.m. Thank you very much for joining us. Lots of fun we're having, and we're happy to take you along with us on the upside with Tebogo and Mmatsheko until 4 p.m. in Central African time. Let's talk gaming. Let's talk gaming on the African continent. We did tell you that it is becoming so explosive that we cannot contain it. Really just amazing to see what's happening. Game development fast becoming one of the continent's most dynamic creative sectors, opening doors to innovation, to storytelling and economic opportunity. All inclusive is what we're talking about today. So at the heart of this movement is Games Connect Africa, an initiative that's championing Africa or African gaming studios through mentorship, global partnerships, and visibility on the world stage. So we're going to be in conversation with Safurat Balogun, who is head of information and library services at the Goethe Institute Côte d'Ivoire, to unpack the mission behind this movement and also to look at the role of culture in or the culture of gaming, as it were, and what then that means for gaming, what that means for the space of gaming as you and I speak. So we're very excited. Safurat, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
First of all, I think it's so divine to have a woman speak to us about gaming because, you know, it's a boys' game. So when we hear a feminine in the space, it gives me all kinds of hope for what is possible. So let's start with the big picture. Please paint for us a picture of what the gaming industry is looking at the moment as you and I speak.
The gaming industry is huge. One thing before, I actually thought you played that song because of me, because I live in Côte d'Ivoire and it's a French song, so I don't know if it's a coincidence. I don't know the song, but thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Safurat, are you able to maybe help us? Do you know what the song title was there?
No, I don't know. I don't know the song. I don't know the title. You said it's Gabonese, right?
Yes. I'll tell you. I'll spell it for you. Right? It's spelled COEUR and raison.
Okay, that's cœur is heart.
Oh, it's cœur.
My French is great. Cœur is heart, yes, but it means heart. So it's probably a love song or something.
Cœur and raison would mean.
The right heart, probably. Yeah, something like that.
You know what? Thank you very much for that clarity.
Cœur
and raison. I was close. I was very close, by the way.
All right. So let me tell you a bit about gaming today. Yes. So the gaming industry is huge. It's massive. There's a lot of money in the gaming industry. And basically what we are trying to do on the continent is to make sure this money comes here, stays here, and it's not just a case of African developers working for big organizations outside of the country, and the money stays on the other side, basically. I can tell you a bit about Games Connect Africa, which is the regional initiative the Goethe Institute is working on. Basically, the idea is to build a strong, interconnected, and sustainable gaming ecosystem across the continent, to make sure that our gaming industry on the continent becomes or stays as strong as outside of the continent.
It is 19 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. We are talking about the growing ecosystem in the gaming space in Africa. And we're currently in conversation with Safurat Balogun from the Goethe Institute in Cote d'Ivoire to tell us more about this budding, untapped market. And if you're a game developer or a budding game developer, this is a conversation you need to stay locked in on. We'll continue the conversation right after this.
Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Kabu.
Mozambique's opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has been charged with incitement to terrorism and disobedience. He faces a total of 5 charges. The charges relate to post-election violence that left hundreds of people dead. What punishment is he looking at?
The most severe charges are 2. One is incitement for terrorism, and also is being charged for mobilizing people for terrorism during the protests. These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle.
The director of CDD, the Center for Democracy and Development, Adriano Novunga.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. The Upside, taking the African perspective to fresh levels.
It is 21 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. We are in current conversation with Safurat Balogun from the Goethe Institute in Cote d'Ivoire, and she is the leader of Games Connect Africa, telling us how they are building Africa's gaming ecosystem. Safurat, let's talk about the opportunities that we have on the African continent to tell our stories. Because when we think about gaming, oftentimes we think about the westernized superheroes and games that we fall in love with and we play on the African continent. But talk to us about the opportunities that we have right now to share our story with the rest of the world.
Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities on the continent, especially in Southern Africa. There are people doing really cool stuff, working on huge stuff. For example, also there's the first Disney film that was made with the gaming studio in Nigeria, which is a huge thing. So really there are different opportunities. It's just to know where to look into and the right thing to tap into. But there are people working on gaming for Africans, by Africans. In Southern Africa, especially, as I said, it's a huge industry. The government is putting in money as well in Southern Africa. And the rest of the continent is just bits here and there. And what we are trying to do is basically to make sure that people have the knowledge to actually to develop this kind of games for themselves, and not just take in what is happening from other parts of the world, right? So it's also important that we are able to create, that we are able to develop, and that we are as good enough as the rest of the world.
I think it's just so interesting to see that there are also initiatives that are coming into the space to create some inspiration and to make the space bigger, so to speak. Safurat, so talk to us about Games Connect Africa. What is this initiative about and what inspired the creation?
So for us, it's a couple of things. One thing, the Goethe Institute is really into collaboration. We are all over the continent. And we realized last year that all of us are working on gaming, but it was like everyone doing bits in their own country. And so we wanted to kind of unify that and make sure that we all kind of have a common goal and we all really work on developing or continuing to develop, help the ecosystem on the continent. That was one. And the second thing we're facing is that even in the past, when we've done bigger projects around gaming on the continent with the Goethe Institute, at the end of the day, when the project is done, we would go to a place like Gamescom, which is in Germany, or maybe the French guys, if they do something, we work with them, they will go to like Paris Games Week or something to showcase the results of the games or the project. And we're like, why are we taking all of that and going to Europe to showcase the things there? We struggle with visa for a lot of people. It's always a hassle. And then also what happens is like, we develop, when people are working on the project, usually they develop African solutions for the continent or for their country. And then when you go showcase it in those in Europe, yes, it's nice and good, but a lot of times it's a bit far from the reality of the people over there. So the idea behind Games Connect Africa is really to develop and help people create solutions for the continent, but also showcase them on the continent. So basically, the idea is we want to support festivals that are already on the continent to just establish themselves better. We want to support game jams that are happening, so people doing small events. And then we also have a residency program that we are working on. And most of, or a lot of what we are doing remains on the continent, makes sure that we strengthen the people on the continent. And maybe one day the people in Europe will look at the festivals happening here and think, oh, I should attend that festival.
Through this initiative, have you seen some games coming out of this initiative through the collaborations? Share some of the games that we should look out for, perhaps even download that came from the Games Connect Africa initiative.
Yes, there's some interesting developments happening. There's nothing yet to download. We've had some play testing. The project started in January. And one interesting thing we did was in Nigeria, where they had a call for application, a Pan-African call for application, where studios could apply, people could apply from all over the continent to basically work with other people and develop games. So that happened, and then they did a play test at the Lagos Games Week in June, which was very interesting. There's one particular game that we are looking into developing further right now. So, and it's always all these games that we developed. So the idea with that was also they had to go to the museum in Nigeria. They had to look at different things, and based on that is what they used to develop the games. So these games are based on facts. It's not just fiction or something.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. And we had teams from Ethiopia join at the Lagos Games Week together with the Nigerian players. That was pretty cool. The other thing we did in Cote d'Ivoire is a project on game design. We're still working on it. It's pretty cool. We've worked with schools and museums as well, where we take the students to museums and they stay there for 1 week, learning how to game design, but also like doing it themselves. And it's really fascinating what people can do in 1 week. And the idea is that at the end of all of the workshops we're going to do in Cote d'Ivoire, we are going to showcase the results of this of the students in the museums as well, so people can actually go and see what's happening. So I think towards the end of the year, we'll have a bit more concrete stuff for people to look at. But definitely, people are developing, people are creating. I was in Angola recently also, where people had they were not doing anything in game development really, and people are coming up with really interesting ideas.
That is fascinating. I mean, you've literally took us to all various corners of the African continent in terms of the people that are involved. I heard Ethiopia, I heard Nigeria, and other countries obviously coming together at these gatherings and these summits to have a conversation. Do I need a university degree to become a gaming developer?
I mean, I think South Africa is doing it very well. You can study game design in universities, which is really cool. But I would say you need to be very dedicated. You need to be very disciplined. You can learn a lot of things. And I mean, having a university degree is great. But if you don't have a university degree, you can really have to be dedicated and disciplined to learn these things.
And Safurat, how can we get in touch with you if we want more information, and especially for young budding developers who'd like to know the career path in this particular space? How can we connect with you?
You can find us on all the platforms of the Goethe Institute. So if it's in Cote d'Ivoire, it's Goethe Institute Cote d'Ivoire. In South Africa, it's Goethe Institute South Africa. But you can also reach us via email. It's gamesconnect@goethe.de. At goethe.de is pretty important. But if you just Google Games Connect Africa as well, you'll find us. We have a page. If you go on www.goethe.de/Johannesburg, we are also there. You'll find us there as well.
Wonderful. This has been very exciting. I mean, it's opened us up to really what gaming is. And I love the fact that you mentioned that there's a lot of research and, just a lot of facts that go into this. It's not just gaming for the sake of it. And it's also about creative problem solving. Safura, thank you so much for your wonderful energy and for your contribution to the gaming space. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. That is Head of Information and Library Services at the Goethe Institute in Côte d'Ivoire, Safurat Balagon, talking to us about the thriving gaming space, the ecosystem as we see it. We definitely need a part 2 for this one.
100%.
We actually need her to come and physically play a game as we zoom in with her. Like a cool game that she's discovered. That would be fun.
Once upon a time, I don't know who we were chatting to on Channel Africa. We were talking to a game developer. And I presented the idea. I was like, we need a South African superhero.
You did. I remember that.
Yeah, Uprakota. I still haven't seen any development when it comes to that, but we'll give it some time. It's 30 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Figuring what is standing by with sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
In with the athletics, South African javelin thrower Janne van Schalkwyk has got big hopes for her next assignment in Tokyo after getting bronze at the FISU World University Games in Germany. Speaking on the back of yet another podium finish, having also finished third at the previous event in Chengdu, China, the USA-based student athlete explained why she needed to aim higher at the upcoming World Championship.
I know there's a 60 in me. I know it for a fact. I'm not gonna lie. I feel in good shape. It's just I need everything to click. Unfortunately, it didn't click as well as I hoped today, but I know it's coming. It's coming. So I'm excited for the rest of the season. I know there's going to be some big decisions that's going to come out of this body.
24-year-old moved to the USA last year and adds that she had no regrets.
It's unfortunate that the last throw went further, but I mean I'm still so happy. It's been an extremely long season so far. Lots of positives I took from this competition. Lots of things that I know I need to work on for the next. Really hope for that silver, not gonna lie, but yeah, I mean there's a plan for everything. Everything happens for a reason.
On to boxing news, Alexander Usyk has been ordered by the WBO to face New Zealander Joseph Parker in a mandatory heavyweight title defense. The Ukrainian was crowned undisputed world heavyweight champion after beating Daniel Dubois in a fifth-round stoppage at Wembley Stadium. The victory sealed when he left the Brighton on the canvas with a left-handed punch, secured a 24th professional win for the undefeated 38-year-old who won back his IBF belt and added it to WBA, WBC and WBO titles. On to aquatics news now. French swimmer Leon Machard smashed the 200-meter individual medley world record in Singapore with another breathtaking swim, while Australia and United States celebrated more gold. Racing in the semi-finals at the World Championships, the 23-year-old Frenchman wiped more than a second off the previous record of 1 minute 54.00 seconds set by Ryan Lochte in 2011. Machard beat Michael Phelps' long-standing 400-meter medley record at the World Championships in Japan 2 years ago. Machard took an extended break from swimming after Paris and only returned to competition in May. Let's end with motor racing. Ferrari announced a multi-year contract extension with Formula One team boss Fred Vasseur, ending immediate speculation about the Frenchman's future at the helm. Vasseur has been in the post since the beginning of 2023 and was key to persuading 7 times world champion Lewis Hamilton to join from Mercedes this season. His tenure was questioned earlier in the year, with reports suggesting Ferrari had sounded out Christian Horner, the Briton who was sacked by Red Bull this month, and has yet to comment on what he will do next. Ferrari are second in the championship after 13 of the season's 24 races, but a massive 268 points adrift of dominant champion McLaren. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Figile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Africa in Song with Chanduko Ligege.
So when you think of African music, you think of Kwasa Kwasa, high life music from West Africa, Afrobeat from West Africa, of gospel music or faith music or spiritual music. But when we think of reggae music, we go to the Caribbean, and if it's Africa, we only think about Lucky Dube. Well, I'm here to introduce you to some reggae music from Africa. Salif Keita with Dakan Faye from Mali. And I must say, this one was a real shock for me because I never had imagined Salif Keita on a reggae beat. But listening to him, it just proved to me how versatile he is as an artist because you'd be expecting him to be on that vibe of West Africa, of ballads. But he really proved that he is very versatile, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Africa in Song with Chanduko Ligege.
35 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's hand over the mic once again to the man with the golden voice for business news, Thabiso Lehuku.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks, Tebogo, and good afternoon. Tanzania has barred foreign nationals from owning and operating mainly small-scale businesses, sparking concern and a backlash from neighboring Kenya. The new directive prohibits them from 15 sectors, including mobile money transfers, tour guiding, small-scale mining, on-farm crop buying, beauty salons, curio shops, and establishing radio and TV operations. Trade Minister Selimani Jafo explained that foreigners had increasingly become involved in the informal sector and areas better filled by Tanzanians. South African telecoms operator Vodacom has won a partial court victory in a 17-year legal battle over compensation potentially worth millions of dollars claimed by an ex-employee for his role in developing a lucrative callback messaging service. The ruling by South Africa's Constitutional Court, its highest court, overturns a lower court decision and acknowledges procedural flaws in how the Supreme Court of Appeal handled the case. The Constitutional Court sent the matter back to the SCA to be reheard by a different panel of judges, meaning that for the former employee, Nkosana Makati, his hopes for a definitive compensation decisions are delayed yet again. Vodacom had proposed a $2.6 million compensation offer, but this was rejected by Makate, and the SCA ordered a new offer of between 5 and 7.5% of the total voice revenue generated from the Please Call Me service over 2 decades, based on a model set out by Makate. ArcelorMittal South Africa has continued to post losses despite receiving over $55 million of Industrial Development Corporation funding support to help neutralize the long's business operational losses. It says that this funding was applied in a highly responsible, transparent and well-considered manner in support of maintaining productive capacity, supply chain vitality and jobs. The company has indicated that key structural impediments remain largely unresolved. These include insufficient import protection. The company says in the absence of a sustainable solution, the long's business final wind-down target is the 30th of September 2025. Kobus Verster, ArcelorMittal Chief Executive Officer.
The company posted an EBITDA loss before exceptional items of 394 million rand and a headline loss of 1 billion rand, mainly as a result of the extremely weak trading environment locally and a prolonged negative steel cycle.
The Nelson Mandela Bay Business Chamber in South Africa's Eastern Cape province says that there will be a crisis should the US impose a 30% tariffs on South African vehicle exports. The country is among more than 180 countries in the final negotiations with the US ahead of the 1st of August deadline. Chief Executive Officer Denise van Heusden says they're in distress.
One needs to understand that the automotive domestic market hasn't really grown. Pre-COVID levels, it stood at around 615,000 vehicles. Last year, 515,000. So the market's not growing.
Futures tied to the S&P 500 Nasdaq surged to record highs after strong earnings from tech giants Meta and Microsoft reinforced investor confidence that artificial intelligence investments are paying off. Meta platform soared 11.5% in pre-market trading after the social media giant forecast third quarter revenue well above estimates thanks to AI boosting its core advertising business. Microsoft issued a record capital spending outlook of $30 billion for the current quarter and reported higher than expected sales in the Azure cloud computing business. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 530, Botswana 13.32, Kenya 128 shilling 53, and Zambia 22 kwacha 95. The BRICS countries in Brazil, the dollar there will cost you 5.58, Russia 81 rubles 25, India 87 rupees 43, China 7 yuan 18, and in South Africa the dollar will cost you 17 rand 91 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 87 to the euro. Gold is $3,299, platinum $1,300 per ounce, Brent crude oil $72.86 a barrel. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business in Johannesburg, I'm Tabiso Lohoko.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. The Midnight Snack, 12 to 3 a.m.
Young couples or young people that are getting married, we often hear of divorces, that they're getting divorced, and it's quite worrying because when we attend these weddings, we want to see these people flourish and celebrate 30-year anniversaries. What do you think is the main challenge that is facing newlyweds?
We say that tell me how you were raised and I'll tell you how you love. So when we see people getting married, that's not where the relationship actually starts. The relationship starts with how you were raised, what you were familiar with, because we are attracted to what we are familiar with. If you don't have a background where love was prominent, where love was authentic, it's going to be very difficult for you to manufacture that in later life. So our upbringing has something to do with it.
The Midnight Snack, every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege. Mmatsheko Mosito and Tebogo Lekhuleni on the upside.
42 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. This is still The Upside on Channel Africa with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito with you all the way to 4 p.m. Central African Time. Join in on our conversations this afternoon. Send us a WhatsApp. Let us know where you're streaming us from on our WhatsApp line. +27634069126. 9126. Sticking to the game development conversation, getting into game development can be a daunting and challenging endeavor for aspiring game developers. And in this audio, gaming guru David Olamide shares two interesting approaches you can take to acquire the required skills to become a game developer.
So coming to this very topic, there are two important aspects to focus on, right? We focus on the education aspect, right? Like the degree that you want to get. Then we focus on the portfolio and skill acquisition aspect of game development. Coming to the education aspect of game development, there are now schools, right, that teach you how to make games and give you a certificate and a degree for it, right? I'm talking about physical schools now. Like, okay, here in Africa, we don't have such. but I've not seen any African country that does that, where game development is actually a degree in such university. But there are universities in the US, in the UK, and some European countries where that option is actually available. So for the education aspect, right, you go to a university to earn a degree, right, in game development. You have your coursework, you're able to learn how to program, how to code if you're taking the gameplay programming route. You go to an art school, if you want to be an artist or maybe an animator. You go into a design school, maybe you want to be a game designer of some sort. So there are schools like that that gives you the opportunity to learn skills at the same time build your portfolio. Education gives you that bandwidth to do such. So you're able to interact with your colleagues, your teammates, that's your classmates in school, and you're able to learn some of these skills, right? You have the lecturers coming in who are most likely industry experienced professionals, individuals coming to teach you how to make games. Yeah, so that's the education route if you have taken that. So why education route is an amazing option, right, for aspiring game developers. There's a downside to it, and downside is that it's very, very costly, very expensive. Like degrees in games in such schools are always very, very expensive, and if you don't have the budget for it, you might not, see that as a viable route for you. It's a very good one, right? I mean, coming with the perks of you being able to learn from industry professionals, you having classroom experience, you having, text exams to encourage you to learn, you being able to work with, individuals from different departments, being able to have a very polished, probably final year project. But the downside is you have to pay for all of this. It comes with a very huge cost. Talking figures now, right? It costs about that's approximately $30,000 to about $80,000 to earn a degree in game development. I mean, that's comparable to other types of degree like computer science, computer engineering, even electronics engineering. And so, is it worth it spending that kind of money, right, to earn a degree in game development? So that's the education route. That's the downside. Like, you pay for it. It's costly, it's expensive. So if you have the money, go for it. If you don't have the budget, right, to go to a college to learn how to make games, like you can't spend $35,000, $30,000, $80,000 to know how to make games. Well, there's an option which many today adopt. This is the option that I myself adopted, and it has worked for me. The industry doesn't require you to compulsorily have a degree, in computer science or game development to be a game developer. When I'm talking more for gameplay programmers. So for artists, I think it's very similar. So it's not required, it's not compulsory. Right, so there's an alternative route for individuals who wants to know how to make games that can't afford or that don't have budget, right, for an actual university degree. And that's the route of self-learning, and that's you building portfolio and skills yourself. So you're actually teaching yourself how to make games. I mean, how you teach yourself, right? There are resources online to learn. So you go on some platforms, which I will share with you in a bit, to learn how to make games, right? This route is cheaper. Like I said, it's not expensive as you going to a college to learn how to make games. It's cheaper, right? I mean, cost effective. But there's a downside to it as well. It requires you to stay committed. Like, unlike the education route where curriculums are already planned out by the university for you, so you just take courses. You don't need to know how they structure the curriculum. You just know that you are in class, you are learning the right things, you are on the right path. For the downside here, for you self-learning and getting the experience and building your own portfolio, is you are most likely doing trial by error. I did that, when I started my game dev career. So you are doing trial by error. You are learning these bits and pieces together. In the end, it's going to make sense. I mean, depending on how willing and how committed and dedicated you are to learning. But it's not the easiest route. It takes you time to learn because you might learn the wrong things and learn in not the right order. You're learning in the wrong order. Probably you should learn this before you learn this, but you're learning this before you learn this. In the end, it all makes sense, absolutely, but it will take you more time to learn. So the self-learning route is cheaper, like I said, but takes you longer to learn and requires your willingness and commitment to learning. So you want schooling yourself now, it's probably you give 4 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours or 7 hours per day to learning how to make games. So this route is more friendly, more budget friendly, let me put it that way, for most individuals. And I've seen so many people in the industry, like, I mean, amazing talents take this route.
David Olamide, sharing a couple of interesting approaches you can take to acquire the required skills to become a game developer in Africa. It is a booming business, plenty of opportunities and potential there. And so if you are at home, you've been playing games your whole life, and you've got a couple of ideas on how to tell African stories through games, you can be a game developer. It is an actual career path. And after that, you can also start telling your parents to, hey, finance if they need to finance, support if they need to support, so that you can be the next big game developer on the African continent. Let's take a quick breather. When we get back, some music, and then we tell you what's coming up in the final hour.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The US is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do so, and therefore it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies' meetings or discussions during our presidency and then to take over the presidency next year. From a finance track perspective, there has been engagement. We've been working on a communique last week and this week here in Zimbabwe. What's important about that is that it's a consensus document. And so all the members in the room have to agree to the language that is used there. And our US colleagues have been part of those discussions and negotiations.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa. The African perspective. The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Only on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
It is 4 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African Time. Taking you to Cameroon this time with Manu Dibango. High Life is the name of the song. Proudly African music. When you hear that, I know which continent it's from. It's from Africa. And most importantly, Manu Dibango had a signature. To his music. You couldn't really mistake it for anyone else. What a legend he was. He passed away in 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
COVID time, yeah.
During COVID time.
In France, yeah.
Yeah, in France. In France. Yeah, but beautiful music.
Listen, we've got to mention that King Sunny Ade is featured in that song. And as a South African woman who follows the music of Brakuma Sekela, those were actually very good friends of Brakuma Sekela. Sunny Ade, Fela Kuti, Manu Dibango, all of them were just, they were like friends. There was such, actually, we don't talk about this enough, there was such a tight brotherhood of musicians of that generation back in the day. Jabu Kanyile, Yorsondo, Papa Wemba. I mean, they all knew each other and they had each other's backs like you will not believe.
I love that. Intercontinental. They are from different parts of Africa, but they were still able to connect.
If you want to study a borderless Africa, just look at the musicians. They knew exactly what a borderless Africa was about because they had no borders. They spoke each other's languages. They sang each other's songs. They collaborated. They really lived a borderless Africa.
Actually, let's think about it. A modern brotherhood that you can think of right now. Maybe South Africa, Nigeria. I don't know.
That's living there
right now. Yeah.
The fact that I have to think about it is a problem. Maybe it's my problem. Maybe I'm out of touch.
So maybe not as obvious. I'm trying to think myself who... Nope. Not to say that they aren't, by the way. We're not saying that they aren't, just that we don't know about them. And I tell you what, later on during the show, we will be having What Caught Your Eye. We will properly share some of the things that caught our eyes. In the next hour, we get into conversation with a bunch of winners, the SA rowers who represented South Africa and Africa with such pride on a global platform, coming back with a medal. We'll be getting into conversation with the coach. That's coming up in the next hour. And then, like I said, What Caught Your Eye? We'll share a couple of things that caught my eye, including the Vodacom story. Because
that's a big one.
It's a big one, and I'm trying to understand when are we going to get to a conclusion with that one. 2 decades of us trying to conclude this Please Call Me saga. And today it's like, it's not even a conclusion of this one. It's like it still continues from what we are seeing.
100%. It's gone to the High Court. But the first thing, before I even read the story, when I just saw Makate's face and I saw the headline, I was like, just take the $1 million and run with it. I mean, really.
Just take the money, my brother.
Take the money and run and go start a new life in a brand new island or a country or something.
No, but for him, it's like, no, I've put in so much work, you've benefited, I need proper compensation. It's 3 p.m. Central African Time. Jolani Tulongwepe is standing by with the latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Top stories. South Africa's Concord dismisses the application brought by the Umkhonto Wesizwe or MK party, and Myanmar declares an end of a state of emergency. Good afternoon. I'm Cholani Tulongwepe. South Africa's Constitutional Court has dismissed the application brought by the Umkhonto Wesizwe MK party and its leader, Jacob Zuma. They challenged President Cyril Ramaphosa's decision to place Police Minister Senzo Mchunu on special leave and appoint Firoz Kachalia as acting minister. Ramaphosa also established a Judicial Commission of Inquiry into allegations against the minister made by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi that he colluded with criminal syndicates. Constitutional Court Judge Ramaka Matopo read the unanimous judgment.
The Constitutional Court has considered the application for exclusive jurisdiction and direct access. It has concluded that the application does not engage the court's jurisdiction and no case has been made out for direct access. and the following order is made. 1. Direct access is refused. 2. Costs are reserved. 3. Reasons for this order shall be given at a later date. Thank you.
The Democratic Alliance Party in South Africa's Gauteng province says the city of Johannesburg is unlikely to be ready for the much-anticipated G20 summit. With just 3 months left before South Africa plays host to global leaders, the DA says service delivery failures have still not been addressed. The party's Gauteng chairperson, Solim Simanga, questioned the effectiveness of the work of the Presidential Working Group and Bomb Squad initiatives set up to give the city a facelift ahead of the G20 summit in November.
As councillors, they're sitting here, they don't even know, who are members of the so-called bomb squad. There is no terms of reference. There is no allocation of funding. If there is any, we don't know who's responsible for what. And yet we are going to be, in a couple of months' time, be hosting one of the biggest, events. And you can see for yourself what Johannesburg look like. Street lights are still a mess. Potholes everywhere. We still have streets that are littered. We still have, streets that have water, fresh water and sewer that is flowing.
Still in South Africa, research conducted by the University of the Witwatersrand has confirmed that April 2022 floods in the KwaZulu-Natal province were worsened by climate change. The floods claimed the lives of 544 people and displaced tens of thousands. It's the first time that the floods are significantly attributed to climate change. The research outlines how the increase in the average global temperatures impacts South Africa's eastern coast, KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape, and make these parts of the country more disaster-prone. Director of the Global Change Institute at the university, Professor Francois Engelbrecht.
This research is telling us that climate change is changing flood risks along the South African east coast. And there are broadly two things that we can do about this in South Africa. We need to become much better in South Africa in terms of evacuating people out of the path of harm. We need to learn how to evacuate several thousands of people, maybe 10,000 people within 1 or 2 days out of the path of an approaching storm and flood event. We need to do this on the short term because we are not at any time soon going to solve our housing crisis.
South Africa's Limpopo Department of Environment and Tourism is warning residents of a herd of over 50 elephants roaming areas along the border with Zimbabwe. The department spokesperson Zaid Kala says this is due to annual migration by elephants from Botswana, Zimbabwe and sometimes the Kruger National Park. He says this herd crossed over from Zimbabwe. Affected areas include Pont Drift, Musina and Masisi, amongst others. Kala says rangers are monitoring the elephants and redirecting them from populated areas.
The department would like to alert the people of Bembe district that we are within the elephant migration season, which usually takes place every year within the month of July, August, September and October. These elephants are coming from Botswana, Zimbabwe, and occasionally there are some from the Kruger. The elephants will return back to their respective habitats or countries after the first rains of the year.
And finally, Myanmar's military government has declared an end to a state of emergency put in place 4.5 years ago when it ousted Aung San Suu Kyi's elected government. The BBC's Jonathan Head reports.
They've renewed this state of emergency every 6 months. It's been renewed 8 times. The reason they've not renewed it this time, the last one's just expired, is because under the Constitution you can't hold an election if a state of emergency is in place. That means all this talk of an election at the end of the year is serious. The military wants to hold an election, possibly December, possibly January, despite the fact that it doesn't control a lot of the country. There's armed insurgency and a great deal of it, that a large part of the population is unlikely to take part.
Recapping the top story this hour, South Africa's Constitutional Court has dismissed the application brought by the Umkhonto weSizwe Party and its leader, Jacob Zuma. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Cholani Tulo Webe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
It is 7 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside on Channel Africa, the African perspective, with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. We're coming to you live from the Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Our new studios as Channel Africa, and you can see them on our social media platform at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok and X as well. That's where you can see us. If you have DSTV, it's channel 802, OpenView channel 628, and as always, you can download that SABC Plus app so you can take us with you wherever you go. Happy Thursday. Hope you're having a fantastic, a productive day so far. Puza Thursday. The weekend is around the corner. It's around the corner. We're almost there. What's coming up on the upside in the final hour? Mmatsheko Mosito. We're talking to a bunch of winners, are we not?
We are. South Africa being represented in the rowing community, and it's so nice to see that we are riding that wave of victory, okay? With our rowing team, they were internationally successful. Is the word I'm looking for, and the term I'm looking for, because they were performing at the Under-23 World Rowing Championships out in Poland. Ooh. And the World University Games in Germany as well. So, listen, we're going to celebrate. We have Coach Ati, who's going to be joining us, Coach Ati Lekhuleni, who is going to be joining us to talk about this victory and what it means for the South African rowing space and for young people as well that are in this particular space.
I'll tell you what, I said earlier that I know a place. If you ever want us to go and do some rowing,
we are rowing
with professionals, world champions, let me know, because I know a place. It's somewhere there in Pretoria. Not too far away from here, actually. And from one bunch of winners or one set of winners, let's talk to you about another one. And the SABC Sport brings you Chasing the Sun, a powerful 5-part documentary series about the Springboks, the world champions, telling the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory in 2019. Starting 13 July at 7:30 p.m. Central African time on SABC2. Tune in every Sunday for the highs, the heartache, and the heroics that made rugby history. Stream each chapter on SABC Plus anytime, anywhere. No subscription needed. Don't miss Chasing the Sun this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2. Be there when history shines.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Tumetoka kusikiliza wimbo na huo ni utunzi wako, wewe ndio umeandika mistari na imani wewe ndio umeandika mstari. Tuanzie kwenye jina. Wimbo unaenda kwa jina gani?
Wimbo unaitwa Kanjori.
Aha, Kanjori. Kanjori maana yake nini?
Kama jinsi nilivyoimba. Nauza wazo leo, kesho nawaza uzuri wake, mwendo wake. Sijapata sio mfikirio. Ukikau matendo yake, changu chake.
Unatisha kweli kweli. Aha, Kanjori. Ni historia gani au message gani ambayo imefichama nyuma ya wimbo huu?
Yeah, Kanjori kwa ufupi ni kitu kizuri, yani kitu kidogo. Kitu kadogo yani, alafu ni kazuri ambapo kanavutia kwa kila mtu. Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
supposed to be jai jai. Kilo come, person, my person, we don't mind, boy.
don't walk, you don't try. You're supposed to divide.
14 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Boga lo 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 lo. Oh, Kiss Daniel and Techno there.
We need somebody to offer our friend some singing lessons.
I can't believe you still on that. I can actually sing. I just don't want to do it publicly. I told you I don't want, stress in my life.
No.
The last
Take that
thing
back
I want,
immediately, if not sooner.
No, the last thing I want, I don't want about Randall Abrahams and all these Sony people coming after me and saying, hey.
Randall will lose his will to live if he heard you sing.
I'm sorry.
He will bury himself. If he heard you sing.
Enjoy, absolutely. He will bury himself in joy, and I agree with you 100%. I tell you who else has been joyful and joyous? The under-23s, because they've been representing South African rowers in the most beautiful way, winning silverware on the biggest platforms, and I can't wait to chat about that.
Listen, we're looking forward to the conversation as we talk about the rowing community in South Africa and the success that they've enjoyed internationally, standing out with their performances at the under 23 World Rowing Championships in Poland. And of course, they represented at the World University Games in Germany as well. So silver medals were won, personal bests, all kinds of gutsy finishings were enjoyed at this particular occasion. So we have Ati Nkosi, or Coach Ati Lekhuleni, joining us on the line, of course, in his capacity as the head coach for the rowing team at the Student World Games. Okay, we're looking at double podium glory here. SA rowers shining at the Under 23 World University Games. Coach Ati, thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. Thank you very much. Congratulations on the achievements. You must be very proud. How are you feeling at the moment?
Just hearing you with the intro there is actually brought back some of the memories. It was surreal. Incredible achievement across the board, and I think a really good weekend for rowing South Africa.
Coach Ati, recap for us, for those who are listening in on the conversation for the very first time. They were not part of the World Championships. They were not part of the University Games. Highlight these two silverwares that you came back with as Team SA.
So first you had one group out in Poland for the World Rowing University, Under 23 Championships. Yeah. And in that event, you had different countries represented. We had we had a sculler under a lightweight sculler by the name of Chloe, who came back with the medal, a second place. It was an incredible race. She didn't have the best of starts. We were all a bit worried there. She came out, I think, fourth or fifth out the start, but she's got a wonderful sort of middle pace in that middle 1,000, and she just kept on reading back the rest of the field, and she put some pressure on the Italian who blew out the start, and she put her under the pressure coming into the last 100 meters, and she managed to cling onto that second place. Within that team, we also had three other representatives in the heavy sculls. In the women's sculls, we had Danny, and then we had Braden in the men's heavyweight sculls. Danny came 8th overall. She did very, very well. Quite a young athlete who just came out of school. So it was her first year in the under 23, so really, really bright future. And same thing for Braden, his second year out of school, who came 11th. So it was a wonderful opportunity for them. And then when you cast your eye across probably the sea, it was World University Games in Germany over the same weekend, where we had 10 athletes from various universities who represented University South Africa sports. And so on the podium, we had athletes from the University of Tuks, Kat and Courtney Wesley, who also, again, at the start, did not trust themselves, a bit of a wobble. I was so worried watching them there, but then they also managed to get into their rhythm and then managed to just keep on pulling back and really gave Lithuania, who was leading Olympians, a run for their money, really pulling back 5 seconds and getting on to the finish line with just a half a second deficit. So it was really like an incredible result. But with the rest of the team, we also had a men's pair who were in the B final and were racing for top 7, and they had an incredible race and they came 7th overall. We had another boat from Stellenbosch University who placed 9th, really triumphant race there, and then another boat that came 13th.
Coach, I'm not a big sports person, but, I get so excited listening to you mentioning the youngsters by name, and this is actually a very important victory because it's continental representation. And I think at this level, with young people from the African continent, from South Africa, to be more proximal, is really shining a light on what is possible for young people. But talk to us about other youngsters like Brandon Howard, and Danny Price, who are showing such huge promise, and they're only in their teens.
Yeah, I think the result is so holistic, like you said in your introduction. It shows the great potential that we have in rowing in South Africa and the bright future that we have. For Danny Price, who was based in the UK, and shows the flexibility that we have to bring back the athletes that are still, that are training overseas or attending universities overseas, and giving them that opportunity to represent their country and not feel that when they go overseas that the door is closed. For her to come back, join the program at the stage that she did, and for her, she won a silver medal last year at Junior Worlds, and to come back and, go back against the top of the top at under 23s, and for her to get that result, she had to dig deep, and I think she's grown a lot as an athlete through that experience, and only will build her more going forward. And it's the same thing for Braden Howard, who was at under 23s last year, and I was his coach. We came 9th overall in a double with another teammate. For him to come back and do it solo, to go prove himself is a wonderful attribute and commitment to the sport, which also, will give the rest of the athletes, especially the ones that we have in South Africa, like today, the junior team is going over to Lithuania. And so, just chatting to those coaches, they're at the airport right now, just had a conversation with them. They're really excited and are very motivated by the results that they saw over the past weekend, because we all trained together. So they think now, seeing us and what we achieved, they also start of having a belief, no DNA, just RSA.
Oh, love that. We're currently in conversation with Coach Ati. He is the head coach for the South African rowing team at the Student World Games, the under-23. They got some silverware there at the Worlds and as well as the University Games. We continue the conversation right after this.
The Midnight Snack, 12 to 3 a.m.
Young couples or young people that are getting married, we often hear of divorces, that they're getting divorced, and it's quite worrying because when we attend these weddings, we want to see these people flourish and celebrate 30-year anniversaries. What do you think is the main challenge that is facing newlyweds?
We say that, tell me how you were raised and I'll tell you how you love. So when we see people getting married, that's not where the relationship actually starts. The relationship starts with how you were raised, what you were familiar with, because we are attracted to what we are familiar with. If you don't have a background where love was prominent, where love was authentic, it's going to be very difficult for you to manufacture that in later life. So our upbringing has something to do with it.
The Midnight Snack, every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege. The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito, only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It is 24 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. We are still in conversation with Coach I almost called you chef, but you know, there is a recipe to success to what you are doing. Coach Ati Hlekane, he is the head coach for the South African rowing team at the Student World Games this year, and his teams shone very brightly at this year's Under-23 World Rowing Championships and the World University Games in Germany this year. Coach Ati, a rather controversial question I'm about to ask you. Are we starting to see more black athletes taking on water sports like rowing? We often see great representation from white athletes on the water, rowing, the swimmings, the surfing. But are we starting to see more black athletes taking on water sport?
Yeah, no, indeed. I think in terms of the rowing South Africa perspective, there's been a lot of effort put in to support people of color to come into the sport and to ensure that we do get the representation that we deserve. I know for University Sports South Africa, it's a really big marker for them. And so when we, partake into the various University Sports South Africa events, they do sort of allocate and reward universities that have representation. And so, the more athletes that you have at a higher level, the more points you will be getting, and for the coveted sort of trophy. So that encourages sort of universities not only to get athletes to come into the sport at the sort of grassroots or novice level, but to also sort of invest in them to go and sort of perform at a high level, which is where, a lot of people talk about we don't have representation. If you look at schools, universities, there's a lot of representation, but the trick now that we need to find is to convert that representation into high level, top performing athletes. And that's where a lot of investment and time, unfortunately, needs to be given.
With all of that said, Coach, let's talk about the role of Rowing SA. I mean, you've given us a bit of a glimpse into the supporting structure for this particular competition, but what else does the organization actually facilitate for young athletes?
Yeah, so it sort of is the basic framework and sort of gives and allows for all the various organizations to work within rowing. So under the Rowing South Africa sort of a flag, you still have, the SA schools rowing, you still have university sports rowing, and then you have the various federations. And ROSA has done an incredible job because rowing is also not supported that much financially. So, they've brought in a big headline sponsor, RMB, who has been part of our national team and has allowed us to sort of box with the top in the world. Our senior team going to Olympics, our senior team, getting the results that have been getting. And that also filters down because when you invest the top, those top facilities get to be shared by the juniors, get to be shared by the universities and the under-23 team, and also our under-16. So Rowing South Africa does really create that platform for rowing to thrive in South Africa. And also supporting, some big programs that are really sort of getting people of color involved in rowing.
Coach, it sounds exciting. It sounds like the perfect time for us to be introduced to different spaces on the sports field. Rowing is not a very big sport in South Africa, certainly not in Africa. What is your word of advice to those who are looking to expand and explore this territory, one that they're not quite familiar with?
Yeah, give it a try. There's always a saying that rowing, there's a rowing bug that bites you, and you'll never go back. It's a different world on its own, and it offers you a lot of opportunities. And so, if anyone has an opportunity to jump on, a lot of people are exposed to rowing, but they don't really know it. When you go to the gym, there's a rowing machine, and then there's various clubs across the country that you can join, that you can expose you to rowing. Our biggest feeder is obviously through schools, and then, and varsities, but anyone can join at any age. And we hosted World Rowing Masters in 2023 in South Africa, the first one of its kind in Africa. So there's a lot of avenues. So if anyone is interested, they can go to, the rowing website, the and they'll get all the information from novice and juniors all the way to our seniors.
I think it's exciting. You got me really excited about what's possible for rowers, because you were like, listen, I'm coaching, but we're doing this together. The lines get blurred because you're having so much fun and you are also getting results, which is all the more important. Congratulations once again, Coach, to you and the rest of the team, and the other coaches, Caitlin Reed, Tato Mokwena. Want to send big love to them as well. Well done.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate you taking time to interview us. It's really awesome to be on the space.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much. That is the voice of Coach Lekhuleni, who was joining us, really talking about South Africa's rowers really shining at the Under-23 World Championships, as it were, and the University Games as well. It is 3:30. Let's check in with sports. Figulele Ngwadi, what's happening?
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
It's starting off in Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania. The Central African Republic, CAR, is set to make history with their maiden appearance at the Total Energies CAF African Nations Championship CHAN. This monumental achievement has been celebrated as one of the most exciting surprises of the 2024 tournament. Under the guidance of coach Sebastian Ngato de Bas Obangwi, Wild Beasts stand Cameroon in the qualifiers, marking their entry into the African elite. The team's fact file is that they are called the Wild Beasts of the Basa Obangwi. This is their first appearance in the competition. They have no best performance. This is how they qualified in a historic feat. CAR overcame Cameroon in the qualification round. After suffering a narrow 1-0 home defeat in the first leg in Abidjan, the team pulled off a remarkable 2-1 victory in Bafoussam, Cameroon, thanks to a late goal from Batilon Arnold Yangana. On to athletics now. South African javelin thrower Janne van Schalkwyk has big hopes for the next assignment in Tokyo after getting bronze at the FISU World University Games in Germany. Speaking on the back of yet another podium finish, having also finished third at the previous event in Chengdu, China, the US-based student athlete explained why she needed to aim higher at the upcoming World Championships.
I know there's a 60 in me. I know it for a fact. I'm not gonna lie. I feel in good shape. It's just I need everything to click. Unfortunately, it didn't click as well as I hoped today, but I know it's coming. It's coming. So I'm excited for the rest of the season. I know there's going to be some big decisions that's going to come out of this body.
The 24-year-old moved to the USA last year and adds that she had no regrets.
It's unfortunate that the last throw went further, but I mean I'm still so happy. It's been an extremely long season so far. Lots of positives I took from this competition. Lots of things that I know I need to work on for the next. Really hope for that silver. Not gonna lie, but. Yeah, I mean, there's a plan for everything. Everything happens for a reason.
On to boxing news. Alexander Usyk has been ordered by the WBO to face New Zealander Joseph Parker in a mandatory heavyweight title defense. The Ukrainian was crowned undisputed world heavyweight champion after beating Daniel Dubois in a fifth-round stoppage at Wembley Stadium. The victory, sealed when he left the Brighton on the canvas with a left-handed punch, secured a 24th professional win for the undefeated 38-year-old, who won back his IBF belt and added it to WBA, WBC, and WBO titles. After becoming undisputed world heavyweight champion for a second time, Usyk mentioned Parker as a possible future opponent. French swimmer Leon Marchand smashed the 200-meter individual medley world record in Singapore with another breathtaking swim, while Australia and the United States celebrated more gold. Racing In the semi-finals at the World Championship, the 23-year-old Frenchman wiped more than a second off the previous record of 1 minute 54.00 seconds set by Ryan Lochte in 2011. Marchand beat Michael Phelps' long-standing 400-meter medley record at the World Championships in Japan 2 years ago. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa 1. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa 1. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective. If it's news and current affairs, leading opinions, and thought leaders that get your groove, this is your home, The Upside.
And for the last time this afternoon on The Upside, let's get the business news with the man with a golden voice, Thabiso Lekhuleni.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Tanzania has barred foreign nationals from owning and operating mainly small-scale businesses, sparking concern and a backlash from neighboring Kenya. The new directive prohibits them from 15 sectors, including mobile money transfers, tour guiding, small-scale mining, on-farm crop buying, beauty salons, curio shops, and establishing radio and TV operations. Trade Minister Selemani Jafo explained that foreigners had increasingly become involved in the informal sectors and areas better filled by Tanzanians. Kenya's consumer inflation rose to 4.1% year-on-year in July compared to 3.8% the previous month. The Kenya National Bureau of Statistics says inflation was primarily driven by the rise in prices of items such as food and non-alcoholic beverages, transport, housing and utilities. Monthly inflation was at 0.1% in July compared to 0.5% a month earlier. South African telecoms operator Vodacom has won a partial victory in a 17-year-old legal battle over compensation potentially worth millions of dollars claimed by an ex-employee for his role in developing a lucrative callback messaging service. The ruling by South Africa's Constitutional Court, the highest court, overturns a lower court decision and acknowledges procedural flaws in how the Supreme Court of Appeal handled the case. The Constitutional Court sent the matter back to the SCA to be reheard by a different panel of judges, meaning that for the former employee, Nkosana Makade, his hope for a definitive compensation decision are delayed yet again. Vodacom had proposed a $2.6 million settlement, a compensation offer, but this was rejected by Makade, and the SCA ordered a new offer of between 5 and 7.5% of the total voice revenue generated from the Please Call Me service over 2 decades based on a model set out by Makate. High food prices in South Africa continue to place a financial strain on many households. According to Statistics South Africa, food inflation has accelerated further, with the annual rate for food and non-alcoholic beverages reaching a 15-month high of 5.1% in June. The main driver was meat, especially beef prices. Grocery stock falls have not been spared the impact either. A Blessing Mahlabe is one of them.
Yes, some of the things that we used to buy, we cut them due to these high costs. And even their sales or their discounts, it's not make sure.
ArcelorMittal South Africa has continued to post losses despite receiving over $55 million of Industrial Development Corporation funding support to help neutralize Zalong's business operational losses. It says that this funding was applied in a highly responsible, transparent and well-considered manner in support of maintaining productive capacity, supply chain vitality and jobs. The company has indicated that key structural impediments remain largely unresolved. These include insufficient import protection. The company says in the absence of a substantial solution, Zalong's business final wind-down target is the 30th September 2025. Kobus Vester, ArcelorMittal Chief Executive Officer.
The company posted an EBITDA loss before exceptional items of 394 million rand and a headline loss of 1 billion rand, mainly as a result of the extremely weak trading environment locally and a prolonged negative steel cycle.
$1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 530. In Botswana, it's at 13.32. Kenya, 128 shilling 53. And Zambia, 22 kwacha 95. The BRICS countries in Brazil, the dollar there will cost you 5.58. Russia, 81 rubles 25. For India, 87 rupees 43. China, 7 yuan 18, and in South Africa the dollar will cost you 17 rand 91 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 87 to the euro. Gold at $3,299, platinum $1,300 per ounce, Brent crude oil $72.86 a barrel. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business in Johannesburg, I'm Tebisolo Hoko.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
Make me lose my breath. Make me sweat. Make me lose my breath.
Normally, I could keep my cool, but tonight I'm whining. I'ma be in a dangerous mood. Can you match my timing? Telling me that you're really about it, what you're hiding. Talk is cheap, so show me that you understand. I like it. Can you blow my mind? Set off my whole body. If I give you my time, can you snatch my soul from it? I don't wanna wait. I'm taking, take me where I ain't been before. Can you blow my mind?
know, keep it high like flame. Can make your whole life change. She's a bomb body, yeah, but the wrist plain. Eliante with a bust down chain. The way the thing move, girl, that way strange. I'm loving how I bounce like a got sprain. I know a couple things we can exchange. Created the 8 p.m. on timing. And you the only one that outshining. No matter if you dress for the fine dining or you inside with your bonnet. I know you're iconic. You deserve some princess diamonds. You deserve a trip to the islands. If we post up, baby, don't comment. You keep it wet, that's a real life challenge. All that ass gotta pour out a gallon. Baby, get on top, keep balance. Gucci in a bag, Gucci wildin'. You ain't gotta hide your talent. Even if you did, I bet I find it. You know I come from the H, but it's +27 when I dial in.
Make me sweat. Make me lose my breath. Make me sweat. Make me lose my breath. Make me sweat. Make me harder. Make me lose my breath. Make me water. Make me sweat. Make me harder. Make me lose my breath. Make me water. Make me sweat. Make me harder. Make me lose my breath.
Grammy Award winning Tyler Water. It's still the girl next door. How amazing is that? You've
She's
amassed so
amazing.
much. You've amassed so much in such a short space of time. Yet people can still relate to you and call you, hey man, the girl next door. That's quite crazy. Beautiful though.
Mm.
Beautiful to see. It's time for What Caught Your Eye. Do you want to start?
Look, I want to ride that Makate wave with you. I want to ride that wave.
Do you
I
want to
think
get? Do you want to get into that?
I really do, because that caught my eye too. I mean, as I was saying earlier, that I hadn't even read the story, and I already had, my emotions were high.
Yeah.
My nervous system was feeling like, it feels like he's my relative. You know, the things that he's been through. I had one look at his photograph, and I could see that at a soul level, he's exhausted.
He's tired.
He is absolutely drained by this entire thing. The fact that now they're dragging it to the High Court is just, it's diabolical. But just for context, who is Makate again? Let's take it back.
So it was in late 2000, the year 2000, going into 2001, where Mr. Makate, he was then a trainee accountant at Vodacom. He conceived the Please Call Me service, a free callback SMS service for users without airtime. He pitched it to the Vodacom's product development director, and at that time there was some sort of verbal promise and agreement of compensation if the idea succeeded. And the service launched in February 2001, becoming hugely successful. Now, after repeated requests for compensation were ignored, Makate then sued Vodacom. It started in 2008. The initial judgments at both the High Court and Supreme Court of Appeal ruled against him. And then in a landmark victory in 2016, April 2016, the Constitutional Court's decision, the court found that Vodacom was legally bound to negotiate in good faith with Makate. Vodacom CEO at that time offered him a 47 million rand payout, which Makate rejected and said, that's not enough. And I remember when we were having our conversation, you were saying, I would have taken it immediately. 47 million rand is a lot of money.
Oh my goodness! Take it, start a new life, make the billions that you're looking for. You could be where he wants to be, but I think he's arguing. He's done countless interviews on South African radio stations and other media, talking about that it's a matter of principle, and it's not just about the money. Are you kidding me?
Well, in the latest development, which was breaking news today, the Constitutional Court, because there was a back and forth. There's been back and forth this whole time. The Constitutional Court upheld Vodacom's appeal against the 2024 SCA ruling that Vodacom should pay Mr. Makate, 5 to 7.5% of the revenue generated by Please Call Me over 18 years. So that was the negotiating leg, and for some they would say it was a victory for Vodacom today that was the ruling. And Umakate says, listen, we're not accepting it. We want proper compensation because this platform generated Vodacom a lot of money, billions and billions, and therefore he needs to be compensated accordingly. You were saying earlier, he looks drained, he looks tired. It's been almost 2 decades of him fighting this battle. I agree, and I don't know, perhaps there are other powers at B who have been funding and supporting this, because these court proceedings, they don't come cheap.
No.
They're draining financially, emotionally, all
18 years of
18
legal
years.
fees, and
So it's possible that they have their own amount set, and they've told him, listen, we're not accepting anything less than a set percentage or a set amount, and that's why we are continuing to see this battle back and forth. So what's going to happen next? We don't know, because if the SCA then rules and says, Vodacom, you are in the wrong or you're in the right, whatever the case may be, we're going to go back to this again. It's going to be another constitutional, another high court, another constitution, for another 18 years. To what end? I don't know. Do you think it's time for him to just accept and say, I'm cashing out now. Let me just take whatever you're offering me. It's still more than I would have gotten working, but some argue that it's not enough compared to the revenue that was generated through the platform that he was a part of, or who a big hand in creating so many years ago.
Look, I stand by my opinion, but I will say that I'm just sitting on my couch, with a bag of popcorn, watching this entire debacle. We really just don't know what it takes, to come up with an idea that is of multi-billions of dollars, if you really think about it over the period that Makate actually came up with this idea. So listen, perhaps there's, it would be wonderful to find out, his thinking at this stage. What is he actually looking for? Because we were also speaking off the record, which I want to bring on the record, about how many people actually have had great, wonderful, mind-blowing, wondrous ideas that they didn't even get not a cent, not a credit, not a cent, not a grape, not a crispy for those ideas, let alone 47 million South African rand. I'm not saying be grateful for what you get. He's got every single right. We've got to acknowledge that. He's got every single right to fight for what he feels he deserves, and what is due to him needs to come to him. But as in your words, to what end?
To what end, indeed.
To what end?
Let us know on our TikTok account at Channel Africa 1. What do you think he should do? It is now 8 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African time. Let's take a quick breather. When we get back, I've got another What Caught Your Eye.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
In recent weeks, East Africa has seen a disturbing rise in human rights violations. In Kenya, digital activist Rose Njeri was arrested under the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act after creating a tool for citizens to oppose the Finance Bill 2025. Meanwhile, in Tanzania, Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi and Ugandan lawyer Agatha Atuhaire reported being detained, tortured, and sexually assaulted by security officers.
East Africa needs a reset. We need to get back East Africa to where the founding fathers are. When President Nyerere and his colleagues, Jomo Kenyatta and the Ugandan counterparts fought for independence, they fought for independence to get Africans out of poverty, to get Africans out of slavery. The leaders who took up power have since gotten into regression.
Neto Agostino, co-leader of the United Green Movement Party.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine. The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Well, it's 6 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African Time. Very quickly before we welcome the Queen of Africa in business, Tami Ngubeni. Let me share my other what caught your eye. It's something that happened to me this morning. Woke up at around 3 a.m. in the morning, pleasantly enjoying my sleep. I was in La La Land, and woke up to screams, like someone screaming. They were screaming, "Help! Help!"
That's what caught your ear.
It caught my ear. But I thought I was just dreaming. I was like, no, I'm just dreaming. There's nothing is happening there. Only to find out when I woke up in the morning, our estate management people sent out an email saying, listen, there have been break-ins recently at the estate, quite a few of them. Please be extra cautious. They're going to put up higher walls and extra security cameras. And what came from that for me was the fact that it's been happening for quite some time. And I know it might be an unpopular opinion. I don't believe in security guards holding a specific position for a long period of time in a particular estate without rotation. And I'm not saying that it's the security's fault or that they had a hand in it, but when you consider the fact that the security there, they know the ins and outs, they know who lives in which unit, how many people are in that unit, how often that person goes to work and when do they go to work. It's a lot of information to note. And when these break-ins are happening, they're happening very, very, very interestingly in spaces where there's only one female in that house, or a female living with her child, or a person who works late hours. The only way they can have that intel is internally through people who work there. Rotation for me would be ideal. If there's rotation of security so that they don't get familiar with people's comings, ins and outs at these estates, I think that will be the best solution for this, because it's rather unfortunate that it's happening so close to home.
Yeah, where I live, it's actually standard. They get changed all the time. We get introduced to new security all the time. Yeah. And that's actually that's the base of the reason for precautionary reasons, for safety and security. Yeah. Very simple. So actually, you need to insist on that. I don't know, sign something, a petition.
I'm going to sign. I'm going to start something. Yeah, I'm going to start a revolution there.
Something.
I'm going to start a political party.
I'm going to start a estate political party.
Estate political party.
Please, because in the interest of the vulnerable people that live in there, in fact, everybody, rotation, it needs to be, it's a non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, non-negotiable now is for us to introduce you to Tami Ngubeni, who's standing by for Africa in Business. Good afternoon to you, Tami. How are you doing on this beautiful Thursday afternoon? Oh, no. You know what? Tami's like, I'll join you now in a second, don't worry. Because she is the Queen of Africa in Business, and that's coming up at 4 p.m. Central African Time on Channel Africa. So hang 10, stay streaming on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok and on X. And drop us a WhatsApp. What do you think of this Please Call Me saga? What should he do? +27634069126. Good afternoon to you, Queen. How are you doing?
Your Highness.
Your Highness.
Your Highness. I'm very well, but I mean, I'm coming in at the tail end of this Please Call Me saga, and it is an absolute heartbreaker. The fact that the court has ruled in favor of Vodacom. Obviously, this is from his perspective as the one who created it.
Yes.
But also as a representative of all those who are creators and who have intellectual property.
Yes.
And, that companies have profited from. But if anything, it just shows that, the I's have got to be dotted and the T's have got to be crossed as far as, contractual obligations are concerned, especially where intellectual property is concerned, and not to take things for granted because you don't know your invention could be the next big thing that can, generate billions for somebody else. And then you get left out in the lurch. And the law is the law.
Which is crazy. The law is the law. And I think there are some contracts that have worked in into the contracts, your employment contract, that whatever intellectual property, whatever you produce and create on this platform, you will not get compensated for. And it's a very sad thing that is the approach that some businesses are taking, to say whatever IP that you bring in, we're not going to compensate you for that. They're covering their bases on that point. But what does that mean for our creativity and our ability to contribute to the company and get compensated for that?
The premise of this, though, is the acknowledgement by Vodacom.
Yeah.
The mere fact that there is going to be a payout.
Yes.
That in itself is an acknowledgement of the origins of the IP.
Yes.
What is in question now is the quantum.
And he wants more.
He wants more. He wants more. Well, here's another business, that we'll be focusing on today. It is Thursday, right? And every Thursday we've got our G20 feature. And today we'll be looking at the digital economy and how digital public infrastructure, I'm talking digital IDs, public data, e-payments, etc., how those can be used in order to develop sustainably and also to make sure that development is inclusive as well. So we'll be focusing on that with Ashraf Garda on SAFM, and two guests today. We've got a media, technology and communications practitioner, Olia Weiman, as well as the Minister for Women, Children and People with Disabilities, Minister Sindisiwe Chikonga. She'll be joining us as well. And in our C-Suite feature, something to look forward to, we've got Lucy Mugai, the Chief Executive Officer of B Lab Africa. That's a company that develops policies, programs and tools for businesses. Another IP question coming up for her, definitely.
All the questions.
On your behalf, on behalf of the Upside,
please.
I will represent.
Thank you very much. Africa in Business is coming up next with Tami Ngubeni from myself, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and Mmatsheko Mosito and the Upside team. Goodbye, Africa. We'll do this again tomorrow.